Imagine standing on the vast African savanna, not as a modern human, but as a creature caught between worlds. You walk on two legs, sometimes. You climb trees, often. You don't yet speak, but you feel the first spark of curiosity. The same spark that will one day build cities, paint cave walls, and launch rockets to the stars. Who were we 6.3 million years ago? What did life look like before human meant anything at all? This is the story of how our ancestors began their long, winding journey from ape to ancestor. The story of us, before we even knew we existed. Close your eyes and imagine Africa, not as we know it today, but 6.3 million years ago. The air is thick and humid, the land a shifting mosaic of forests, grasslands, and ancient lakes. Herds of antelope like creatures graze in the distance, and the calls of giant birds echo through the air. Predators like saber-toothed cats lurk in the shadows, waiting for the slightest sign of weakness. But this isn't just another prehistoric landscape. Somewhere among the rustling trees of what's now Chad, a creature takes its first uncertain steps on 2 feet. It's not quite human, its arms are long, its skull small, and its face still more ape than man. Yet something extraordinary is happening. Welcome to Before Flame. Fire if you enjoyed traveling back in time with me. Don't forget to hit like and subscribe so you never miss the next journey into our ancient past. Meet Sahelanthropus cadensis, nicknamed Tumai, meaning hope of life. Discovered in 2001, this ancient species is believed to be one of our earliest known ancestors. Scientists estimate it lived around 6 to 7 million years ago, right at the crossroads between ape and human. And though it still spent much of its life in the trees, its anatomy hinted at a revolutionary change. It could walk upright. Walking on 2 legs, bipedalism, might not sound dramatic, but in evolutionary terms, it was a turning point. This adaptation freed the hands for carrying food, tools, or even infants. It changed the way our ancestors saw the world, literally. Standing upright gave them a new vantage point, allowing them to scan for danger or opportunity across the savanna. Why did this happen? The earth was changing. Forests were shrinking, and open grasslands were expanding. Those who could adapt to walking between patches of trees, covering long distances efficiently, had a better shot at survival. Evolution wasn't guided by intention, it was sculpted by necessity. And Sahelanthropus may have been one of the first to answer that call. Still, life was far from easy. With every step into the grasslands came new risks. Predators hunted in the open. Food was scarce. Shelter was fleeting. But each challenge forged something new, a resilience that would echo through millions of years of evolution, culminating in us. The Dawn Walkers had begun their journey. And though they couldn't have known it, they were taking humanity's very first steps, literally, into existence. Millions of years before fire, tools, or language, evolution was working in silence, tinkering with bones, reshaping spines, adjusting hips, and subtly balancing bodies on 2 legs. Auroran tugenensis, discovered in Kenya's Tugen Hills, gives us another glimpse into that transformation. Known as the Millennium Man, this species lived around 6 million years ago, close in time to Sahelanthropus. At first glance, Auroran still looked every bit the ape. Long arms for climbing, curved fingers for grasping branches. But its thigh bone told a different story. It bore the marks of an early biped. That small detail changed everything. It meant that walking on 2 feet wasn't just a random behavior. It was becoming a defining feature. Imagine how awkward those early steps must have been. Knees buckling, balance uncertain, body swaying side to side. Yet each step was a revolution. Walking freed the hands, allowing them to carry food back to a safe spot or hold onto offspring while moving through dangerous terrain. Over time, that simple act of walking would change the structure of our pelvis, spine, and even our brain. But evolution doesn't care about comfort. It cares about survival. As forests thinned and open plains expanded, creatures that could move efficiently on 2 legs had a distinct advantage. They could travel farther to find food, spot predators from a distance, and cool their bodies more effectively under the blazing sun. This was the slow dance of adaptation, tiny anatomical tweaks over countless generations. No single creature knew what it was becoming. But nature was sculpting the blueprint for something entirely new. The world didn't yet have humans. But for the first time, it had beings that were no longer quite apes either. They were becoming something else. Something new. As the sun set over the Miocene savanna, the world of Sahelanthropus and Ororan was both beautiful and brutal. Their lives were a constant balance between predator and prey, between survival and extinction. Every rustle in the tall grass could mean danger. Every climb to safety was a reminder that their world was shifting beneath their feet, literally and evolutionarily. These early ancestors didn't leave behind tools or language. What they left was far more profound: a direction. They set evolution on a course that would eventually lead to Australopithecus, Homo habilis, and finally Homo sapiens. Without those first uncertain steps, there would be no footprints in the sand at Litoli, no art on cave walls, no cities, no stories, no us. It's humbling to think that everything defining human existence began with creatures who never knew what they were becoming. Their choice to walk upright wasn't conscious. It was necessity, shaped by droughts, shifting landscapes, and the relentless pressure of survival. But through that necessity, they ignited a spark that would burn for millions of years. So next time you stand upright, look at the horizon, and take a step forward. Remember, that simple act connects you to beings who did it first, 6 million years ago, under an African sun. They were the dawn walkers. And though time has erased their faces, their footsteps are still with us, echoing through every step humanity has ever taken. The Earth was restless. Around 4 million years ago, the climate began to shift once again. Lush forests that once blanketed Africa gave way to expanding grasslands and scattered woodlands. For early hominins, the descendants of Sahelanthropus and Ororan, this wasn't just a change of scenery. It was a test of survival. Enter Australopithecus afarensis, one of the most famous early human species, and perhaps the most iconic, thanks to a small skeleton nicknamed Lucy. Discovered in 1974 in Ethiopia, Lucy lived about 3.2 million years ago. She stood barely over a meter tall, yet she represents a monumental leap in our story. Lucy walked upright with confidence. Her hips and knees were built for bipedal movement. Her footprints, preserved in volcanic ash at Litoli, Tanzania, show that she and her kind walked like we do. Yet her long arms and curved fingers reveal that she still climbed trees for safety, food, or rest. Imagine her world: endless plains, predators lurking in the tall grass, no weapons, no shelter but the trees. Her survival depended on awareness, cooperation, and adaptability. Perhaps she learned to recognize safe foods, remember water sources, or understand the moods of her group members. Tiny sparks of intelligence were beginning to flicker. But evolution had no map. Every drought, every new predator, every birth and death was part of a vast experiment. One that would, over time, shape brains, behavior, and bodies. Lucy wasn't human. Not yet. But she was becoming something closer. She carried in her bones the blueprint of tomorrow, the quiet promise of mind, memory, and meaning. By 3 million years ago, life demanded teamwork. The savannah was unforgiving. Predators roamed freely, food was seasonal, and shelter was scarce. Survival was no longer a solo act. It required connection. Early hominins like Australopithecus afarensis began living in small groups, family-like units where safety and learning depended on one another. In those circles of survival, something remarkable began to take shape: the roots of empathy. Picture a mother teaching her young where to find edible roots, or an injured member receiving protection instead of abandonment. These simple acts, repeated over countless generations, sowed the seeds of what would later become love, loyalty, and community. The foundation of our humanity was being laid long before fire or language. Around this time, brain size started to increase, slowly but steadily. The shift wasn't just physical, it was behavioral. Bigger brains meant better memory, more complex emotions, and sharper problem-solving. Some early species might have even begun to use rudimentary tools, sharp stones or sticks, to dig or crack open nuts. Communication also evolved, not through words yet, but through sounds, gestures, and body language. A raised hand could warn of danger, a low grunt could signal food. These early forms of expression created bonds that strengthened survival. And here's the fascinating part: it wasn't the strongest who survived. It was the most adaptable, the most social, the ones who could think and work together. From these primal interactions grew something no other animal had ever achieved: a shared world of understanding. The first flickers of consciousness, the idea that we could be stronger than me. The rise of intelligence had begun, not through force, but through connection. By around 2.5 million years ago, the world had changed again. Africa's climate was drier, the landscape harsher. Forests continued to thin, and open grasslands stretched endlessly. But within this struggle, something extraordinary emerged, the spark of intelligence. From the lineage of Australopithecus came a new kind of ancestor, Homo habilis, literally, handy man. Discovered in the early 1960s, this species marks the dawn of the Homo genus, our direct branch of evolution. Homo habilis stood slightly taller than Lucy, with a noticeably larger brain. But what truly set them apart was ingenuity. For the first time, our ancestors began to make things, flaking stones to craft sharp edges, using them to cut meat, break bones for marrow, or shape wood. It wasn't just survival anymore, it was strategy. These early tools, known as the Oldowan toolkit, represent the first known human technology, over 2.6 million years old. Imagine the moment it happened, a creature kneeling by a riverbank, striking one stone against another until sparks flew and an edge appeared. That sound, stone meeting stone, was more than survival. It was the beginning of intention. Toolmaking required foresight, planning, and imagination. Each chipped edge reflected a mind learning to shape the world, not just live in it. And with tools came new opportunities. More efficient hunting, better defense, and access to richer foods that fueled brain growth even further. Intelligence wasn't just evolving, it was accelerating. The brain was no longer a passive organ, it was a creative one. From cooperation came society. From problem-solving came innovation. And from struggle came something truly revolutionary. The realization that survival could be crafted. The age of mind had begun. Around 2 million years ago, Africa was a land of extremes. Parched deserts, lush valleys, roaring predators, and unpredictable seasons. Yet, amid this chaos, a new kind of being emerged. One that would not only survive the world, but begin to shape it. Meet Homo erectus, upright man. Taller, stronger, and more intelligent than any species before, Homo erectus represents a monumental leap forward in human evolution. With longer legs and shorter arms, they were built for endurance. Unlike their ancestors, they could walk and run long distances across open plains, pursuing prey for hours until exhaustion claimed it. This wasn't luck, it was design refined by evolution. But it wasn't just their bodies that changed, it was their minds. Homo erectus began using more advanced tools, creating what scientists call the Acheulean hand axe, a symmetrical, teardrop-shaped stone tool that required planning, precision, and patience to craft. This wasn't mere instinct anymore, it was intelligence with intention. And then came one of the greatest moments in our species' history: the control of fire. Fire transformed everything. It offered warmth in cold nights, protection from predators, and the ability to cook food, unlocking more calories to fuel ever-growing brains. It turned night into day, fear into comfort, and isolation into community. Imagine a group of Homo erectus gathered around a flickering flame, sharing food, stories, and safety. For the first time, the dark was not an enemy, it was a canvas painted with light. This was no longer just evolution of bone and muscle. It was the evolution of consciousness. Once fire lit the night, Homo erectus began to dream bigger, or rather, roam farther. Around 1.8 million years ago, they did something no species had ever done before. They left Africa. It's hard to grasp the enormity of this moment. For the first time, our ancestors ventured beyond the cradle of humanity, spreading into Asia and Europe. Fossils found in places like Dmanisi, Georgia, and Java, Indonesia, reveal that Homo erectus adapted to entirely new worlds: cold mountains, dense forests, humid jungles. Why did they leave? Perhaps scarcity drove them. Maybe curiosity pulled them. Or maybe it was simply in their nature to explore. Whatever the reason, this migration transformed our lineage forever. Adaptation wasn't just about surviving in one place anymore, it was about thriving anywhere. They mastered new tools suited for different landscapes, learned to exploit new kinds of food, and developed social systems to coordinate hunts and defend territory. Imagine the coordination it took: signals, gestures, maybe even primitive vocal sounds, to chase prey or guard a fire in the wind. Each journey into the unknown demanded more from the mind: memory, cooperation, courage. Over generations, those who thought ahead, who planned, who worked together, survived. Evolution favored intelligence not as luxury, but as necessity. The wanderers didn't know it, but they were shaping the human spirit, the same drive that would one day send ships across oceans and rockets into space. The fire they carried from camp to camp was more than a flame. It was a symbol of endurance, of hope, of becoming. They weren't just walking across continents. They were walking toward destiny. As millennia passed, the world kept changing, and so did our ancestors. From Homo erectus came new branches of the human tree: Homo heidelbergensis, Homo neanderthalensis, and finally, around 300,000 years ago, Homo sapiens, us. By this time, evolution had given us a brain capable of imagination, empathy, and innovation. Fire, once a tool of survival, now became the center of culture, a place to gather, to share, to think. Stone tools grew sharper and more diverse. Hides were crafted into clothing. Spears were carved with precision. We weren't just adapting to the world anymore. We were transforming it. And then, something profound happened. We began to dream. Cave walls filled with paintings of hunts, animals, and symbols. These weren't mere decorations. They were stories, memories, expressions of identity. For the first time, humanity had stepped into the realm of art, spirituality, and imagination. When Homo sapiens finally spread across the globe, through deserts, over mountains, across seas, they carried with them not just fire or tools, but ideas. Cooperation became society. Curiosity became science. Survival became civilization. Think about it. Every innovation, every word, every leap of imagination, from the wheel to the web, traces back to that first creature who dared to walk upright 6 million years ago. The journey from ape to ancestor wasn't quick, or easy, or inevitable. It was the story of endurance, chance, and endless curiosity. And it's still being written, every time we take a step forward, every time we look to the stars, and every time we ask the same ancient question: who are we? From the shaded forests of ancient Africa to the glowing cities of today, our story has always been one of movement, of rising, adapting, and reaching beyond what we were yesterday. 6 million years ago, a small creature stood on trembling legs and took a step that would echo through eternity. That single act, simple, uncertain, instinctive, began the journey that made us. We've come so far. We've learned to harness fire, carve stone, speak, write, build, and dream. We've mapped the stars our ancestors once gazed at in awe. Yet, beneath all our progress, that same ancient pulse still beats within us, the urge to explore, to understand, to become. Every breath you take, every footprint you leave, carries the memory of those who walked before. They didn't know they were building the foundation of humanity, but they did, step by step, through survival, courage, and curiosity. And now, as we look back across those 6.3 million years, from ape to ancestor, from spark to civilization, one truth remains clear. The story of humanity isn't over. It's still being written by you. So the real question is, what will your next step be in this ancient human journey?